Good morning and welcome to Gulfstream today on another beautiful day here in Hollandale Beach. Brian Nato with you, Ashley Mayu as well, and we overlook the firm turf course, always great, the fast main track, and of course the all-weather Tapeta as well, as we're working our way on a 9-race Thursday card, but we're working our way on a huge Saturday here at Gulfstream Park.
Yeah, we're inching closer to it. You mentioned great weather today. We've actually been on a pretty good kick as far as weather. Where I live, it rained a little bit last night, but barely any rainfall at all. And you mentioned Saturday, a lot going on here at Gulfstream Park as well as Santa Anita Park, the first inaugural Saturday. I don't want to give too much away, but we all know 15 stakes races on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit later as well. Front and center here today, $200,000 in the gross guarantee Rainbow Six pool. There were a couple singles actually in the nightcap yesterday, but we paid that off on Sunday with over $8 million in the pool, and we're already growing already. And as we progress, it'll get bigger and bigger each day. You're going to actually put a ticket. You're subbing for Ron Nicoletti today.
I am, and I'm the queen of 5 out of 6, so we'll have to figure out which race you might need to add a little bit more on your ticket, but we'll have to see if I came up with his magic number as well.
4320. I mean, eagerly awaiting that, and Ronnie's been 5 out of 6 a lot, too. He's been threatening at this thing. He did hit it a couple of weeks ago, so we'll get to that in race 4. The opener is early pick 5 time as well. You're not going to have to search too hard to find my ticket and be able to play it. It's just a $5 ticket. There it is. I'd like to think I'll be alive after race 1 on the spread, and we'll get to these races. But you know, you and I walked over here, and you thought maybe favorites are going to have a pretty good day, and as you can kind of see in my pick 5, that's it. Katie's Cowboy in race 2 is my best bet of the day. It probably won't be favored either, so you get a little bit of value there. And then obviously Grade 1 winner Kamari is going to be tough to beat. We'll take a look at her. Royal War as well in race 4. We've got a replay on that one too, and then Tour of Duty for Chad on the drop, I think, in race 5. All going to be very, very tough. $5, you can play it, you know, more than a few times, and hopefully maybe you pad the bankroll a little bit as we get to the big Saturday Fountain of Youth Day here for Saturday. So on to the opener. It's a good one too. It's a mile and 70 yards on the Tapeta. $20,000 starter allowances. Fillies and mares 4 and up. You are down inside, but Cats of Dreams firmly on my radar as well.
Yeah, this horse is going to make the first start of 2022. Last year was in the money half the time. Trained by Ralph Nix, who's had a sensational championship meet, almost firing at about a third of the time. Thought last time out the race was quite strong. I know this one was kind of chasing throughout, but still hung on for second, beaten by half a length against starter allowance, back against that level of competition. And the Tapeta races have been good. But the other thing I wanted to show real quick is a stat for Ralph Nix. I mentioned this horse hasn't been seen in 2022. So just looking at first off of having some rest, anywhere from 2 to 6 months. The past year, 10 for 40, 25% with 60% in the money, and a $2.45 ROI. So for me, a lot of numbers here supporting Cats of Dream.
Yeah, and like you alluded to it, Ralph has just been so strong from the get-go here at the championship meet, and he just keeps on keeping on. I went next door to the 2 Pinotti. Steve Glaceris off the claim. Jose Ortiz is here. Yes, we rise up in class and face much, much better, but the win last time was very strong with Jennifer Young, and I love the fact that Steve claims her for 20, and now is going to run her in a spot where he doesn't want to lose her.
Pinotti was one that I was kind of on the fringe of using underneath, because the big thing with Pinotti is, you see, this one broke the maiden on the Tapeta at the $25,000 level. 2 ambitious spots. I know had to face Casa Dream and Isla Bonita in one of those starts, but they were tough for her. And then I thought the last 2, she loves the Tapeta here and should get a good trip. She's going to be further back than a few of the other fillies and mares here, and so hopefully some pace to run out. Yeah,
let's take a look at the replay for the 3 Destinique here, and she's down inside in this spot. She's the 1 horse down inside. And, you know, you've probably heard me talk a lot about how the inside on the Tapeta, I don't really think it's been the place to be, and I think this does a pretty decent picture, you know, paints a pretty decent picture. She's down inside, and it looks like she's got every chance to make a real dent when they straighten out in the drive. And she just, my notes are like she was stuck in neutral, Ashley, and I think if she can get off the rail, she would have been a lot closer. She just isn't able to poke through here.
And she's a consistent type. When you look at her races, kind of going down the page, she's had those 3 cracks on the Tapeta. She's hit the board in all of them. I did think this was a good performance. Now going to race first off the claim for Marty Drexler, who's kind of a newer face year-round now to Gulfstream Parks. Had a good meet, and he's done some shopping lately. Yeah. So I know he does well first off the claim, almost 30%, but he's claimed a lot in the last couple weeks. It'll be interesting to see how this kind of, you know, first really big set of runners come back first for the barn. I think there's a kind of a stat we're going to show later in terms of the synthetic numbers here just been for him. They've been quite incredible at the meet, so made a lot of sense underneath.
And then quickly, Lido Key, another Woodbine-based trainer, Bill Thorinos.
Yeah, this is another one, no stranger to it, claimed last time out for $10,000. If I'm not mistaken, this was a hot horse in the claim box.
Yeah.
A lot of slips were dropped in this six-year-old mare by Lemon Drop Kid. She's won her last two. I think these waters are deeper, but from a figure standpoint, I felt like the whole field, they're in the same kind of range.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Bill's done a good job down here this winter. Early pick four-time in race 2. When we get to that firm turf course, it's a state-bred optional claimer here. 4-year-olds and up, 5 furlongs on the turf. Down inside Ghost Liner for you. Probably try to wire these.
That's what I would think. I think it's going to be a Sun Mission. Edwin Gonzalez aboard, who's for this one 2 starts back. The question or the concern would be 2 for 9 in the money. Finally picked up that win last time out. The figures go all over the place. Now, I will say when you kind of go back to those last 3 races, the 2 best ones have been on the Tapeta or the turf. So from that standpoint, if Ghost Liner can replicate that most recent performance, figures to be tough.
Yeah, my best bet of the day goes a little bit elsewhere. I've got Ghost Liner in 3rd, and Katie's Cowboy is my play of the day here for Kent Sweezy. And I know that he's been, doing the Tapeta thing in his last couple starts. I thought the turf run 3 back was sneaky good, and I think he's going to get some pace to rally into as well.
I know they can help Katie's Cowboy, too, looking at some of these races. I don't think in that race, sprinting on the turf here at Gulfstream Park, that this one wanted to be that far back early on. Was 46-1. Kind of looking at the recent form, wasn't so strong. So I like that this one was able to get some confidence those 2 starts back.
Yeah, and I like I said, I think he's improving too, or getting back to his best race, and I agree. He kind of got run off his feet that day. Big Daddy Dave, who you've got in 2nd, and one of the reasons I like Katie's Cowboy so much is I think he could be problematic to your top pick Ghost Liner. They're going to get involved early and often, I think.
Yeah, and when you look at Big Daddy Dave last time out, was able to take him gate to wire. That was on the dirt, though, 6 furlongs, but he does have that turf sprint under his belt. Now, be it back in September of 2020, had a lot of time off, over a year off, but really, how can you knock a horse that he's got 5 starts under his belt? He's never been worse than 2nd, and we'll find out today. If he was $35,000 last time out. We'll see if he's that sort of value. Yeah,
off the claim for Danny Pita. Tough to improve off Ralph Nix, who like we talked about earlier, is having himself quite a meet. Race 3, another optional claimer. This is for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, 6.5 on the main track, and it brings the 5-year-old return to Grade 1 winner Kamari. And we'll take a look at her winning the Madison at Keeneland last April. Not really a lot going on here, but it's, not every day you see a Grade 1 winner on a Thursday. And she's actually, she's the 5 here pressing. She'll have the Coolmore colors on, though, today.
And kind of looking at her in the Madison, it was a great performance from her. Yes, she was heavily favored in there, but she still faced some nice horses, such as Bell's the One, Estilo Telestoso, who then we would see here later last summer, I believe, in the Princess Rooney. So tough horses. She's a Grade 1 winner. When you start to look at her resume and just her performances, she doesn't need, she can be close to the lead like she was in the Madison. She can be further back and close. She tried to close last time out in the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint against the boys, and she did make up some ground after having a troubled start. So I think she's just all the class in here.
Yeah, it's cool to see her, and Joel Rosario in for the ride. He's in here on Saturday as well, riding the big Fountain of Youth card, so that's good to see. We'll see the numbers here. I'm assuming you went with Kamari. Okay, yeah, so we both go down inside Union Maiden. Someone's going to run second to what's going to be a huge, huge favorite. We've both got Union Maiden, who's got solid form. Maybe this is back, with the exception of Kamari. She would be tough in here.
And had those 2 wins back last year, one at Keeneland and then one at Saratoga. I thought the race at Saratoga was a pretty good one, was able to clear that field with a career best number, and then just had like a 2-month break, had to face the sloppy main track at Belmont Park in the Pumpkin Pie, and was able to make up some ground in there. So it was kind of a difference of trips in those 2 races in New York. Now making that first start for Brendan Walsh, who does quite well with new acquisitions in the barn, and Tyler Gaffleon has been aboard her before, back aboard today.
Fire on Time scratches out. She was going to be the speed in here, and so we both got a straight try, 3-1-5. Let's take a break. 3 down. That means when we come back, it's Rainbow 6 time, and Ashley's got a ticket. Stay tuned.
And they're off. Second in the 2-path. Round off first inside. Race. A quarter of a mile to go, and he's 6 yards out. Last of the 12 as they roll into the backstretch.
Welcome back to Gulfstream today. Brian and Ashley with you on a 9-race Thursday card. The weather's beautiful. Hope to see you out here as we've got a huge weekend looming. Fountain Youth Day on Saturday. Key Florida Derby prep. So, race 4, as we alluded to before the break, Ron Nicoletti is not here today. That means you are in his seat, his shoes, and that means you have to come up with a Rainbow 6. Take a look at it.
I had to come up with a ticket, and it's $43.20. So Ron will be really proud of me with this kind of total cost for my ticket. In the first leg, we'll talk about it a little bit more in depth. I went to 2 horses, the number 3 Royal War, as well as the number 5, especially race 5, race 7, and race 8 is where I got that coverage. I thought race 5, being a 7.5 furlong turf sprint for maiden optional claimers, was time to get some coverage. Use the 3 Moonquest, Edwin Gonzalez, Mark Casse, Red Hot, and also use the 2 logicals, the 7 Tour of Duty, who I know you single in that early pick 5, as well as the number 10 Pulsar. Race 6 just too deep. Race 7 I decided to spread once again with these big fields. For race 7, the 2 and the 3 I liked a lot, but I was really intrigued by the number 10 Be by the Sea getting back on the Tapeta today. And then from there, 3 deep in race 8, and then I just wrap it up with 2 runners that I thought were the logicals in the nightcap.
There it is, the blueprint, the Nicoletti blueprint, 43.20, and this kicks off, as we said, in race 4. It's a 12.5 2L here. We're back on the Tapeta for 4-year-olds and up. We've got a replay, so we'll start it off with the 3 Royal War, who we both have on top. We've got a replay last time. This horse just comes up a world of trouble. He's the 4 down inside, and just really nothing's going to go right for him.
Yeah, this was not a great trip for Royal War at all. I think the big thing to take away here as you watch the replay, there's still takeaways. The horse actually does, get a good performance in terms of finish, just not an ideal trip. You can see here has kind of a whole flight of 3 in front of him, no room to really angle out at this point, and the rider really had to be patient.
Yeah, exactly. And he's still, it's a credit to him that he still got 3rd, too. And we've talked a lot about spots. Look at pulling all the way back and basically gives up first run on the majority of the fields. Now got to tip deep and try to swoop. And we've talked a lot about these lower level claimers. They just don't have the gears of a Kamari, of horses like that. If a horse like this has trouble, they're just not going to win. And to see him run on late, I think is a testament to how good is the form right now. Wansi's got him. He's dropping a little bit in class. It doesn't really bother me. I think he's a single for me. I think he's going to be really, really tough in here. But you also used the 5 Espelier.
Yeah, for me, Royal War obviously looks tough, has a track record of a lot of minor placings, but I think seeing that most recent performance makes him the clear pick. Next horse I had to go was the number 5 out of the Danny Gargan barn. First off the claim, they claimed this one out of Laurel Park for $16,000, and the horse didn't run a lick on the turf there. Took some play, but really came up empty, was dropping in class, so you kind of wonder, okay, now they claim this one for 16, have sat on the horse, and now racing for 12.5, but the workouts have been strong, and I want to show a stat here. I will later, just with synthetic numbers, I should say. I always forget we show these later. But Danny Gargan on the synthetic, just look at that base number on the DRF. It's 25%, but he's done really well here at Gulfstream Park. He's had a great meet, so never bad to see Danny Gargan and Luis Saez team up. Yeah,
and I think that's the real appeal here, because as you kind of alluded to, where have you been? They didn't claim this horse for 16 to run on March 3rd at Gulfstream Park. So obviously there's some issues, but you've got an absolutely potent trainer and our leading rider here as well. Superposition down inside with Jose and Antonio Sano's going to face winners for the first time, but is going the right way.
He's really been going the right way. You kind of look at those races just about a year ago, some more, I guess, tough competition that this one was facing more than recent, because he was in the 35, the 50 maiden claimers, took kind of a step down and really was trying each and every start and got it all together last time out and was able to draw clear in that field as the favorite. 1 of 2 for Antonio Sano in this race, and Jose Ortiz, always a good thing to see him, stay with the same horse.
Yeah, I agree. And the Ortiz brothers, when Antonio rides him, they've been very, very good together. Late pick 5 time in the 5th, and we're back on the turf in a $40,000 optional maiden claimer, 4-year-olds and up. We'll take a look at my ticket. It's not the $5 from earlier. It cut in half, actually. There was a key scratch in race 8. Me Negrita is going to run on Saturday in the stakes, and she had heavy, heavy speed. So I think Liam's Kiss now is going to be loose and is going to be tough to catch for Pletcher. I've got spreads in race 6 and race 7. And then in the finale, race number 9, I think it could be a little chaotic. I've got my long shot play in there, actually pretty flattering. So I think that pretty flattering is, I'm hoping is live at what will be a huge number. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I don't have a lot to talk about in race 5, Ashley, because I think Tour of Duty is going to be very, very tough at what will be a very, very short number for Chad, and you have him as well.
Yeah, this is my top pick in this spot.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking for value, you're going to be looking underneath. And the reason for that is Tour of Duty, okay debut. It wasn't great, kind of mid-pack at Gulfstream. That was over a year ago, but then had that time off. And that first start off the layoff, this horse actually had the lead late and surrendered it to finish 4th. Was favored, obviously, you know, not great to see that. But after an extended layoff, I really think this one needed a race. And now second off, we know that's Chad. Get them confused, right? It's his angle. He does very well with these types of horses. So it gives me confidence to also see this horse now come from Tampa and come back here.
I love the owners on this horse. Peter Brandt teaming with the Phipps stable. This is a big Phipps pedigree, too, a homebred here. So I think Tour of Duty, it's just the right spot for this one. It's a gelding, so that big pedigree, you don't have to worry about that. So I do think it's the right spot. You went to number 3, Moonquest. I actually played this horse a few times at Woodbine. Maybe the drop wakes him up.
Hopefully the drop is going to wake him up. Has been in those medium special weight races, both on the Tapeta and the turf, and really hasn't fared too well. The best finish would be probably 3 starts back, going a mile and a 16th on the Tapeta when this one finished 4th in a 10-horse field. The big thing here, this horse has had a little bit of time off, has been at Palm Meadows for those last 2 works. I think the drills are good. And Mark Cassey and Edwin Gonzalez, I know it was a lot with the 2-year-olds and the first-time starters, but they still have really big numbers together.
They're about 30%, and if you're not in the loop on Edwin, I mean, he's been really, really good. He rides the Tapeta as well as anybody here, and he's very solid on the turf as well. Jerry's Turn is going to pick up a check in here. He always does. I've been trying to get him to the winner's circle a few times at the meet. He's with his friends again today. I don't really think he expected to see a horse like Tour of Duty, though. You go outside as well to Polestar, who's got some tactical speed. Mike Tomlinson, long overdue to get a win.
Yeah, and you look at Polestar and Jerry's Turn, they kind of have the same story. They've had their fair of chances. Yeah. They've been close to getting that kind of first win under their belt and haven't done so. The reason I went with Polestar is this is just a horse that's coming out of 5 furlong events, and looking at that race 2 back, I thought this horse maybe could stretch out a bit, so going to get the opportunity to do so today.
And you've got Ghostliner on top earlier, and that's who Polestar chased last time, so maybe get a little gauge about how he runs here. Use Polestar in race 5. Late pick 4 time in the 4th. It's a starter optional claimer. We've got 4-year-olds and up here going a mile. You're going to go down inside for Joe Dabaggio, who I think is a big player in here. I wasn't sure about the mile.
Yeah, that's the biggest question for him is the mile. You look at the record and you say, okay, 0 for 3, just has that 1 3rd place finish. I'm going to draw a line through that last race. Had to face Candyman Rocket, who's a good horse for Bill Mott. 7 furlongs. So you go back to those last 2 wins. I know they were at 6 furlongs, but I think when you go back, I know you have to go pretty far. This horse, last time at the mile, that wasn't a bad race by any means. Had to face Trapezoid. I'm just wondering, he seems to be in a good form minus that last race, and I think Carlos David's kind of done a good job with him later in the season, so maybe in his second start this year, there's hopefully going to be some improvement.
Yeah, I wondered about the pace as well, and we'll talk about Brasstown first because I think it's a good segue because he's probably the speed, but you've got Paco down inside on Joe Dabaggio. There's a chance they hook up a little bit in here.
And there is, and I think Brasstown, you saw that 2 starts back. This one went to the front, and by no means are they going slow for a mile. 45-1 to that opening half. 86 Buyer speed figure. Was able to draw clear in there. You know, Antonio Sano's done a great job with this horse. You look at the record in 2021, 8 for 11 in the money. He's been strong at the distance. Luis Saez stays aboard. That's why I kind of used them 1-2. I flip-flopped here. I don't even want to admit how many times because I think the one disadvantage to Joe Dabaggio might be the distance, but I still think, depending on the trip, he might be able to get it.
So then conversely, I went to Luxero because I'm thinking there's going to be speed. Now, I don't know about these Parks and Laurel Buyers. They're huge, 89 and 82, if that's your cup of tea. And Claudio's another one, Claudio Gonzalez, you know, a prolific trainer up in Maryland trying to get his first win at the meet. Luxero, he's going to need some pace. I think he gets it. My worry is the 1 turn as opposed to all those 2-turn races. He comes in very sharp, though.
He's had a lot of 2-turn races, and he's kind of traveled all throughout the Mid-Atlantic. Claudio Gonzalez looking off to get off the duck here, but he's 6 for 14 in the money, and I think this is a live horse. I think he benefits from a couple things. 2 starts back, that was on the off-going based on his record. I don't think he's been really enjoying that. His races on a fast main track, they've been stellar. We'll just have to see what he does here. Yeah,
I agree. He's an interesting newcomer for sure. Late pick 3 time here in the 7th. It's a 12.53L. We've got 4-year-olds up, about 5.5 on the Tapeta. Number 3, Famous Gent for You, Safi off the claim.
Safi off the claim, and Safi off, it's going to be a severe cutback in distance. I mean, I haven't seen this horse sprinting on the turf or the Tapeta ever really in a long time. And I think when you look at these last couple races, the numbers are big. They're at the $20,000 level. Horse was claimed for 20, now coming in for 12.5. With Safi, I'm not concerned about that drop at all. Has performed well on the synthetic. We'll just see how the one-turn distance suits this one.
That's what I wasn't sure about, the one turn, and I don't know if he's fast enough to make the lead off those two-turn races. It's just very weird, but obviously in Safi, we trust Frank Calabrese here as well. I went outside to Be By the Sea, who won't be anywhere near 20 to 1. He might be 7-2 or 4-1 in here. Mike Deeney, Jose Ortiz. He's got two really good Tapeta races showing. You got to dig a little bit, but they were against better, and they were comparative to what Safi, famous Gent, was doing.
Yeah, not a fan of his races at Tampa. I'll be blunt. I don't really like any of those last three. But when you start looking at the Tapeta races here, or you go down the page, I mean, this horse was in really good form in the late summer, early fall, went up at Monmouth and at the Meadowlands, was getting a lot of minor shares. And I think that's the big thing to note. This horse hasn't had a win in quite some time, not this year or last year. The record reflects a little bit of second-itis, but I think the sneaky thing here is the horse has experience going one turn.
Yeah, and the fact that Mike reaches out for Jose Ortiz says, you know what, we're probably live today. So I think Be By the Sea is very, very playable in here. We've both got some interest in the 7, no commission.
Yeah, for me, no commission was a horse to kind of put in at least the bottom. A big reason of that being the trainer, Jose D'Angelo, just does tremendous work first off the claim. Got on the Tapeta for the first time, 2 starts back, actually beat Bean and Fun, who's in this spot, was able to make some ground up. It was a compact field. I thought last time out was an okay performance, but it was on the slop. So we'll see how this horse can kind of move up with the new connections.
31% off the claim. Actually, I think Jose lost off the claim yesterday. It was more remarkable, but he's the first thing he does wrong at the champion. The next thing he does wrong at the championship meet will be the first thing. He's just been so good with everything he does. Off the claim has been potent. Race 8, late double time here. It's a good one. It's an optional claimer for 3-year-old fillies. We go a mile and a 16th. Don't forget, that's a short stretch, short finish line. Big scratch of the 5, Mina Grita, who is going to get loose. I actually picked her in here. She's going to run Saturday and going to add a lot of pace to the Devona Dale. So now I think Liam's Kiss is loose and controlling down inside.
I think so too. I think the inside draw helps. Tyler Gaffleon's been aboard for those first 2, and this is a horse that I think really needed that added distance in that second start. I know it was a change in strategy, but I thought the win last time out was pretty good for this one. Been training well at Palm Beach Downs in this preparation to face winners for the first time.
Trainer stat for Pletcher too, I believe. Take a look at.
This is a good stat to show for Pletcher. Obviously, we know his numbers are good, but I want to look more specifically at maiden winners last time out when they won at a dirt route, and 31% from a sample size of 36 and 64% in the money with a $2.13 ROI.
Yeah, she added Lasix and stretched out last time and really, really ran well. And she had to run hard, too. She kind of rebroke late. I thought it was an impressive run. And now she's, you know, we ran that race yesterday for 3-year-olds going 2 turns as kind of a Florida Derby prep. This is probably, you know, the winner can have their sights on the GP Oaks later in the meet. We've both got the same exact. Nostalgic, she might be all right. She is really up against it today with the flow and the short finish line.
Yeah, the short finish line's not going to help her. I think when you look at her, she debuted at a mile and a 16th at Belmont, so very different circumstances than she'll find here at Gulfstream. She was a runaway winner. The number, though,
she ran a 48. That's impossible.
Yeah, that's I don't know if I believe it. You know, it's just so low to see a horse that wins almost by 8 lengths. And then next time out, she was 4th in the Grade 2, race at Aqueduct, and she split the field. And it was an okay performance. She didn't take a lot of play in there, and she didn't take a lot of play on debut. And then she comes in here, tries the turf for the first time. She goes off as a very, we look at it, 4-1 as the favorite, and didn't take to the turf at all. So switching back to the dirt has a decent drill coming into this. She makes a lot of sense. We got to just see what she does today for underneath. Yeah,
maybe Lasix will help her, but from a strictly a flow, race pace perspective, she is really, really up against it. And now with the scratch as well, Liam's Kiss really comes to the fore. Number 2, Easy Come, Easy Go. Should trip out if nothing else. And in favor is another Pletcher, Stone Street horse, who was very good last time.
Let me give this one a shot. I mean, you look at those dirt races, 3 starts, broke the maiden, going 7 furlongs here against maiden special weight competition back in September. And then last time out, I'm really keen in on that race. I thought it was a great performance. This horse sat mid-pack early on, was well defeated by favorite, but was 26-1 because this horse didn't perform well in that prior start on the Tapeta. So I would love 12-1. I'm not sure we'll get it with it being a short field.
Yeah, and she was a month the best of and clear of third, too, last time. So if you're looking to add some spice to your exact, I mean, she could be in there. We go to the finale. We get back to the turf in the nightcap. These are $35,000 maiden claimers, 3-year-old fillies going a mile down inside to Swoonatra for you, moving forward in her form.
Yeah, the last 2 starts have been in the barn of Mike Stidham. Has finished 4th in both of them. I think the concern here is looking at them both on the Tapeta. Last time was a washed-out event. Tired in both of them. I mean, this horse has been forwardly placed. Last time out was on the lead early on. They wanted the turf last time out. They're going to get it today on a drop from that maiden optional 50 into 35,000. She's Louisiana bred. I don't know what to make out of her, but I'm curious to see her on the grass.
Yeah, this is my long shot, and you got to be you got to be pretty creative, but pretty flattering. You know, she was actually 14-1 on debut, so it wasn't completely dead on the board. She lost all chance at the start. She got whacked around and just broke dead, you know, shut off at the start. The winner was a Juddmonte homebred for Chad, who was very good. Sadie Bear was bet very hard that day as well. Now she drops from the maiden special weight ranks. She's going to stretch out. She's going to run on turf. Mike Yates has thrown as much at the wall as he can get to stick here, but he's 5 for 18, second-time maidens. 2 for 8, small sample, maiden special weight to maiden claimers, and she's probably going to show a little more speed today. Hopefully she breaks. I think you're allowed to get creative in this race, if nothing else.
I think you are completely. I mean, I made a case for a horse that's kind of stopped in both those races, and I don't know what's really going to change that today at a mile on the turf. I'm hoping that's what it is, but pretty flattering. You mentioned Mike Yates. I'll be honest, not the best of championship meets for him, but he does very well here year-round typically, and it's been a tougher meet for him. I think he's a great horseman. This horse has been was working well for that debut. At least has another bullet drill coming into this, and he does very well with maiden second time out.
Yeah, I mean, 0 for 14 first turf. That you know, obviously that is true too. But you know, when you're a huge price, you're allowed to think outside the box. Jamie's Warrior, very logical for both of us. Both of them in second for Josie Carroll. Yeah,
Josie Carroll got a good performance out of this one last time out. $35,000 level, slightly shorter, going 7.5, and made up some ground. Paco's aboard then, back aboard today. Certainly, it was her best performance by far to date, and it was only her second start in the barn. So you know, she's probably been training with Josie for a while. Maybe needed a couple races, and I like to notice too that last time out, the horse that beat her in second came back to graduate next time out.
The winner was loose that day, and the second place finisher, as you said, came back to win on the Tapeta. You've got a price Ice Love in third with Jose.
Yeah, Patrick Biancone on the grass today. I know the angle, another one we talk about, dirt to turf is not strong, but looking at the 2 races, one was at the $25,000 level last time out, maiden optional, finished 4th. It's going to need to improve. I'm kind of relying on the surface change. The turf works. They've both been pretty sharp the last 2, and with the way Jose Ortiz has been riding here at the championship meet, I think that's a nice rider change today.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of different ways you can go in a very problematic finale. Before we leave you, though, we've got a lot to talk about on the lightning round. We'll bug you one more time about the new post here, 105 in the PM.
Yeah, don't forget, it's 105. I almost forget every day. I'm like, 12:30? No, it is slightly later, and obviously a lot has to do with the daylight now.
So I alluded to it yesterday. We ran that 9-furlong 2-turn dirt race for the 3-year-olds and an optional claimer that could, you know, theoretically send some horses to the Florida Derby. They went wild early. Skippy Longstocking, very good late.
They certainly, 45 flat to the half, almost, you know, just shy of 110 for 3/4. And it was a really good performance from Skippy Longstocking. It was 9-2 in that race, but really it seemed confident in those final jumps to the wire. So it seems, you know, Florida Derby, thinking the Kentucky Derby Trail, Triple Crown Trail even later, it might be in the works for this one.
Yeah, and you know, Safi's thrown a lot at this horse, and the fact that he keeps on keeping on, and it was a breakthrough performance yesterday. And those horses, him especially, they get a leg up on the Fountain of Youth horses. That was a true 2-turn, 1 1/8 race, and that could propel him definitely to the Florida Derby. I want you to talk about First Saturday, because I know you're right in the mix on all of it. It's a huge day, both here and, of course, at Santa Anita.
It's huge. It's a combined event between the 2 tracks, combining the East and West Coast. 15 stakes, 9 of which are at Gulfstream Park, the other 6 at Santa Anita Park. A lot of different things going on. Well, I'm not going to touch upon the next bullet item here on the lightning round, but there's also a $5 million free-to-play contest. It is live on the website, so if you go to first.com/first-Saturday, you can enter already for that. So if you're the lone person to pick 15 stakes winners, $5 million.
Yeah, good. Good luck with that. The card here on Saturday, and I glanced through Santa Anita, but the card here on Saturday came up so tough, deep, competitive. It's a good segue as you see into the pick fives. We've got a couple of them that are, I think, are great for the bettors.
I think the bettors are going to love this. Dollar minimum, 12% on takeout on both. So thinking Stronach 5 model. 2 coast-to-coast pick fives. There's the all-stakes turf that you can see up here. It gets kicked off with race 7 on Saturday, the Palm Beach, and will end later in the day in race 10, the Kilroe out at Santa Anita. And that's all turf. We also have another one, which is going to be all stakes dirt, same minimum, same takeout. That one gets kicked off on the West Coast in the Grade 2 San Carlos, and it features 2 Derby preps in there. You see the San Felipe and the Fountain of Youth, and also it's Big Cap Day, also a great race for those older horses.
Yeah, without a doubt, the historic Big Cap out at Santa Anita, so that's great to be a part of that. Fountain of Youth, obviously, first and foremost at the front here at Gulfstream Park. We drew it. Now, Mo Donegal is going to come out. He developed a fever, so I would assume Galt's going to, he does draw in. I would assume he's going to run. Boy, it is tough. These are, Pete made a revised morning line now, too, by the way, with Mo Donegal out.
Yep, and Galt is going to go in, and I believe the plan is to race him, as you mentioned, on Saturday. Saw a couple of these contenders yesterday, including Emmanuel, who looked great at Palm Beach Downs, prepping for this race. You know, now just Todd Pletcher has just one in here, but when you start to look at other horses, such as In Due Time and Simplification, they have really big shots in this race.
High Oak was a dazzling winner of a Grade 2 at Saratoga for Lee Einsider and Mike Francesa, who I believe is going to be in the house on Saturday. So there's a lot of excitement for that. And then, of course, the undercard on Fountain of Youth Day is just loaded with graded stakes. We've got the Devona Dale here, Kathleen O, and Girl with a Dream going to tangle.
I think this is a stacked field. 7 in here, and you look at Classy Edition, undefeated New York bred in New York. Outfoxed has kind of ran out her eyeballs out here. We saw some big performances this summer. You mentioned Kathleen O ran really nicely last time out in Girl with a Dream. It's really hard to say. I just think one can win it. This is a wide open race with a compact field.
It's a wide open race, and the complexion has completely changed now because Mina Grita, we mentioned, she scratches out today to run Saturday. Girl with a Dream was going to be loose in there. All bets are off now. It's going to be a heck of a hellacious early pace. We've also got the Honey Fox with all the ones that ran underneath Regal Glory in the Pegasus Gulfstream Park Philly Mare Turf.
Yeah, I haven't dived too much into this race, but I think it's pretty wide open looking at these horses that kind of drew in here. Jouster for Todd Pletcher, Gift List, Alms, a lot of different directions to go into, and again, another huge field.
And then last but not least, we've got the Gulfstream Park Mile, the return of Speaker's Corner, who was absolutely awesome last time out.
And then you think about Speaker's Corner and Fearless. I think Fearless got the poorer trip last time out, and I think they're going to be rivals. But New York Traffic Racing endorsed to finish a decent 4th in the Pegasus World Cup. And, you know, I needed this one for 3rd in the try, so that's why I mention it. But it's a wide open event as well.
Collaborate got back on the beam for Safi last time. Diamond Oops, 2nd off on the quick return. There's just so much going on in that one as well. So that's a wrap for Ashley and I on Gulfstream today. 24 minutes to the opener. We're happy to have you with you on the 9-race Thursday card. We'll throw it upstairs to track announcer Pete Aiello for the changes.
I remember the first time I came to Gulfstream, it was like this big fairy tale place.
We back.
Northern Dancer, winner of the Florida Derby.
Yeah.
All the history, and all these great horses, trainers, jockeys.
It is Barbaro to the final furlong. He is a neck and front. Barbaro wins!
It was everything that I ever dreamed of.
Sunday silence surges to the front.
First day, opening day of championship meet, I was kind of starstruck. You're watching LeBron James, and then next thing you know, you're playing basketball against him. That's how I felt when I'm riding with Donnie V, riding with Irad, Luis.
So many famous people come, Post Malone, Pharrell, J-Lo was there. It's epic.
The weather is beautiful. The facility is phenomenal.
It's all about Knicks Go. Knicks Go makes it 4 in a row.
It's one of the most beautiful tracks in the country, surrounded by some of the greatest horses and riders. It's amazing.
I'd always had a really deep love of animals. When I started riding, I felt that instant connection. It was this horse, Siren, that she was a thoroughbred, she'd been on the racetrack. It really shaped me growing up because I had to learn how to be confident, but I also had to be compassionate. And she really was that first love I had of a horse.